Om. 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 Namami Dhanvantarimadhidevam Sura Surair Vandita Pada Padmam Loke Jararug Bhayamrityunasham Dhataramisham Vividhaushadhinam Dhataramisham Vividhaushadhinam. Om. Namaste. Today, I want to share with you a moment of realization. You know, sometimes we have these moments when we have the feeling that something hit us in the head, like the universe or God or something just says, that's what I was talking about, Korean. And I had this moment just a while ago during my Sanskrit class. I was talking with my teacher about something that happened yesterday at the hospital. And while I was talking with her, I realized that, oh my God, this is what I'm really learning in Ayurveda. My dogs are doing a special participation in this video. But anyway, I came to this moment. Why did I came to this moment? That's what I want to share with you here, because it hit me so hard and in this intense way that I felt the need to share this story. Yesterday, we had a really difficult case to work with. The patient had lots of clinical problems that he had managed. He didn't take care of his health, and I think he was about 52, 53 years old. I don't remember now what his age is. But he had heart issues, kidney issues, liver issues, you name it. He had lots of clinical problems that weren't compensated. He had gone through a stroke, a bleeding stroke. I'm trying to remember the English word, sorry. Okay, doesn't matter. He had a stroke like about 2 months ago. So he is clinically a difficult patient because anything can go wrong in any time. Why was he gonna do a surgery? Well, he had an abdominal problem that the only way to help him was through surgery. So it was a really complicated case, and it was gonna be our first case of the day. The surgeon had come in contact with me the night before, and we discussed some practical issues of how we were going to help him. And so I went to the hospital already knowing about this hard surgery that we were going to have. What happened when I got at the hospital? The whole team was really anxious. The nurses were anxious. The surgery students that study there with us were really anxious. And I felt the energy really like hard, like everyone was like down, you know, like, and worried. And, you know, at these times is when I see that the anesthesiologist is one of the people in a surgical room or in a surgical atmosphere that has this I don't know if it's a purpose or it's a meaning, but it's like he has the duty to keep the team together. At least I felt that yesterday, you know, because I was the one, okay, I was anxious about the case, but I also thought I know what I have to do. I studied to be here, and I'm gonna help him in the best way I can. But then I started realizing that we doctors and nurses and surgical staff, we think sometimes as if we were gods, as if we had the obligation to make everything right, and that every surgery went well, and that we cure everybody. Sometimes we have this naive feeling that just because we studied so much, that we are gods in that moment, and we have this power to resolve things. And while I'm studying Ayurveda, and this has to do with Vedic culture, not only Ayurveda, okay? It's about the whole Vedic culture. That's where Ayurveda was born. They take the Ayurvedic doctors, they take a position among life and among illness that's really different from the way we do this in this side of the planet. We are not in charge. There is something bigger than us in charge there. And that was exactly what I was thinking when I was preparing myself to begin this surgery, this anesthesia. It's like, I'm here. Karmically, there's something that wants me to be here right now. This patient is here. Yeah, maybe it would be better if he had the surgery in a bigger hospital, maybe, but he wasn't there. His destiny, his karma things put him in our hands at that day, yesterday. And this is true for everybody who was around there. And I was like, we know what we need to do. What did I do? I before we brought the patient to the surgery room, I called everyone for a meeting. Like, let's do some talking before we start to work with this patient in a specific. And I started talking this with them, that we don't have the power to do everything and think that all the results are of things that we do, and that actually there's something much more bigger around there. And we were there as instruments of God, instruments of the universe, to do our purpose there. And what is exactly our purpose in a clinical setting, in an anesthesiological way and in a surgical way? We studied to be there to help the patients. But not everything is gonna go right. And sometimes, even though we do our best and we do all the things we know we have to do, sometimes the universe has other plans, and we don't have that control. So I tried to say that to them so they would calm down, and so they would, so we would be able to work in a more pleasant way. And then I invited some of them, if they wanted, to chant a mantra with me. And the 2 or 3 nurses who were there, and there were other 2 or 3 people who wanted to. So we gathered together, and I chanted this exact mantra that I chanted in the beginning of this video. And we took a deep breath, and we just asked for guidance. We asked for guidance so that we can do our best at that moment. And we asked for the tranquility to accept the things that were going to result from our work, whether it was going to be a good outcome for the patient or a bad outcome, because this patient was so clinically ill that the probability of him dying on the surgical table was really high. And at this moment I realized, oh my God, this is Ayurveda. This is what I'm learning, really. I've been trying to, and I will continue trying to analyze Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in an anesthesiological setting, and how I can help my patients better before their surgeries, during their surgeries, and after their surgeries. But this that happened yesterday made me realize that before Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, there are other things. There is something that's holding this all together. And it's called spirituality. It's called being humble. It's called knowing your purpose and accepting that we don't have control of everything, that there's something so much bigger that has control of us. And I realized that during these 2 years that I've been studying Ayurveda, maybe this is the most important thing that I've learned from this day. What happened at that surgery? Well, I calmed down my team. Everybody was more like, okay, let's do it, let's go. And we called the patient, and surprisingly or not, then I'm gonna let you be the judge of that or not. He went really well. Okay, sometimes I would just look at his the monitor of the heartbeat and the blood pressure and then oxygenation. I would think, oh my God, this can't be this patient. He stayed so stable during the whole surgery. He didn't bleed anything, and the surgical conditions of his abdominal problem wasn't so bad. The surgeon got to do a nice surgery with it. It was really well done. And I was gonna send him intubated to the UTI. And you know what? At the end of the surgery, I analyzed the clinical settings of his how he was, and I decided that he had conditions to be extubated. And I sent him to the UTI awake and well. And then after that surgery, we got together again, me and my team, a few of us, and we thanked God, that everything went well. But we were there too to understand that maybe things wouldn't go well, and that's something that we have to deal with. So I'm sharing this story with you to tell you, to resume a little bit, is that I realized that this is for far the most important thing I've learned in these 2 years of studying Ayurveda. And it's not about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Before that, there's this base, there's this special light that's called spirituality that has to live inside of us. We can't be doctors in a full way, in a mindful. Okay, this word is famous around these days, but just being a mindful doctor or a whole doctor, I think, without having this spirituality of knowing your dharma, knowing what you have to do, knowing your purpose of life, and trying to understand that there's something much more bigger that's gearing us through our journey, whether we like it or not, whether we want to or not. And okay, this is what I wanted to share. I want to thank my Sanskrit teacher, Priya, because she was the first one that I told this story this morning before our class, and it was by telling her this, because we were talking about this mantra. Sometimes I don't know if I have an English way of speaking, a Portuguese way of speaking. Anyway, and so she heard this story from me, and it was by telling her that I realized that this is the most important thing I learned in Ayurveda through now. And so I'll keep studying, and I'm really happy and warm-hearted. Want to wish you all well. Thank you for hearing me here. Have a nice day. Namaste.